Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another round of Nova Pioneer Facebook Live. Today, we're really excited to be learning more about the construction and facilities progress at the primary school, and we'll be taken through that by our growth and expansion manager. Over to you.
Hi everyone, my name is Neema Kanyo. As Rob said, I'm the Growth and Expansion Manager here at Nova Pioneer. I just joined recently, about 3 months ago. Before that, I was working as a management consultant in Australia, and before that I studied in the US, so it's very exciting to be back home, and Nova Pioneer is such an exciting place to work. We're doing work that's really impactful for all of our students, and it's a great community to be a part of. Day to day is always different, which is why I like it here, but generally what I do is I work with the different teams we have at Nova, so the marketing team, the learning team, the operations team, to plan for the growth of our schools. And that means both opening up new schools like the primary school for next year, and it also means increasing the facilities we have at our existing schools as well. So my day-to-day will be a mix of planning for the water management at a campus with more students, to looking at when do we time the events when we have parents come to see the school so that they see the facilities in their best state, and anything that involves getting ready for schools, basically.
Great stuff. So you've talked a bit about planning for opening new schools, and part of it being the ongoing construction of our primary school. So could you take us through how the primary school would look like? And then,
Sure. So yes, a big part of what we've been doing as well is designing what the spaces will look like, both the external spaces and the internal spaces for the schools, and being very thoughtful about what experience do the students have, how do we facilitate learning in the best way, and also how do we make the school run seamlessly. So maybe I can start with the outdoor spaces, describe what they'll be like, and then we can move into the indoor spaces. I think the part I'm most excited about, and maybe because it's very colorful and everyone loves to be a kid, is the playground. So we have a playground set up for the youngest kids, which is age 3 to 5. It's a very large space. We'll have lots of playground equipment. Some of it is your standard, your slides and your swings and all that. But we've been very thoughtful also about the materials that children are interacting with. So play should be an opportunity to learn as well. So we'll have some unique fixtures like a sound wall, where we'll have objects that make different sounds, and kids will have the opportunity to play around with them and learn about what kind of objects and materials make different sounds. We'll have an art wall, which it's not really part of the classroom, but it's still, as a play experience, an opportunity to create art. So it's very interactive in that sense as well. We've used a mixture of materials on the outside, so we have grass, then we have some hard spaces as well. Again, just to get them interacting with as many different materials as possible. The other outdoor space is the field, which next year will be used for 2 purposes. We'll still also have some playground equipment there for the older kids. I mean, older here is age 6 to 9, but I guess older. And then obviously they have the rest of the field to use for sports and for general play activities. And it's very large, so it'll be a good space to get them to use up some energy, and hopefully when they come home they're ready to go right to bed.
You mentioned something about the pre-primary field for the younger kids, and then also there's a field for the older kids. So there will be differentiation of play area.
Yes.
Because I do know for parents, at least for the kids transitioning from a school that is purely kindergarten to a school that has older kids, maybe a concern would be, so how would they go about the play area? So I think that answers a really key question for the parents.
So there'll be separate spaces, and I mean also for learning purposes, right? Because the kind of materials and equipment you want a kid who is between 3 and 5 to play with is very different from what you'd want maybe a child who's 7, 8 or 9. And so that's also partly why we've kept them separate. It's just so that the play experience, and as it ties to learning, is appropriate for that age. At full scale, we'll have 4 buildings, sort of 2 side by side facing each other, and the space between them is sloped, so we'll create an amphitheater for them, which will be a nice space to use for some classes, which they might go outside and sit outside and have the class outside, and for the older kids as well. Some of the meals, if the weather allows, will be outside as well. And then as they get even older, it can be a general social space. So that we envision to be very, very active, very social, and a nice break in between classes for kids. And then it's right next to the building, so it makes it easy to move in and out of the building and right to the amphitheater space. But then we can go into the buildings now. So we focused on making the classrooms very welcoming and still facilitate learning. Maybe I'll start with the classroom. You'll notice that we don't have the usual, individual desk and chair all facing the front of the classroom. What we have is we have different tables where kids can work in small groups, and they can be guided by the teacher, but really most of learning is meant to be sort of driven by experimentation and discovery. And so the way it's set up, they'll get to work in groups a lot. There's a rug in the middle of the classroom, so when they are getting any instructions or directions from teachers, or when they're having conversations with teachers about what they've learned, they'll do it while seated on the rug. So it makes it so that learning doesn't feel like it's a tedious task, and that the class is a very comfortable experience for them. And then we've also made it very bright, so the walls are neutral white, and then we have an accent wall just to add some color to the room. We have a reading corner in the classroom, again very comfy. You sit on a rug, you have some pillows, and it's meant to make it so that it's fun to come to school, it's comfortable to come to school, and not a tedious activity or a boring one. So that's for our pre-primary classrooms. And then even for the primary, it's very similar. So they are still set up in groups of about 5 to 6. So they do a lot of work together, have a lot of conversations with the people they're sitting at the table with, and the teacher is there to facilitate it. And it's a bit easier to work with kids in groups of 5 or 6, so they get a bit more attention that way as well. The other really interesting thing about the classroom building is that the hallway is designed to be a multi-purpose space. So yes, that's where the cubbies are, and that's where you store your belongings before you come into classroom. But we've made it very bright and airy, so that if the classroom did want to have an activity in the hallway, that they could use that space as well. So between the classrooms and the hallway and the amphitheater, there's really very many spaces where learning can take place, and all of them are bright and open and conducive to group work.
So in terms of timelines, when do you envision the families who are joining us in 2018 visiting the school, just to have a feel of what the environment will be like, what the playgrounds look like? When will they physically be able to visit?
So everything is well in progress. Different spaces will be completed at different times. I think the early December, then parents can come visit and see everything that will be ready for phase 1. So that's the first classroom building, that's the playground that I'm so excited about, and the playing field and the amphitheater.
And you talked a lot about the upcoming construction and the exciting facilities that are coming up. So in terms of the people who are making this happen, who are we working with in terms of the architects and all that?
We're partnering with Pharos Architects. They're based here in Nairobi. We've been using them since our first school at Ondiri, and now at Tatu, and for our third one. And they've done a lot of work in Kenya, so they work on hospitals and big commercial buildings as well, and they bring lots of expertise as to how to make spaces very welcoming and inviting, how to make them as sanitary as possible, and so they've been really great partners to have.
There you have it, guys. Thank you so much for joining us for this round of Facebook Live. In case you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us on the email address below. We're always available to answer your questions. So from us, thank you so much and have a lovely weekend.